April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. We know that there are all kinds of laws against that, but just how dangerous is looking away from out in front of you while you're out there driving? Javi is live this morning, so he is being put to the test to see if he can text and drive. Hopefully you're not drinking too, Javi.
Crash dummy is the word that comes to mind that perhaps you were thinking of, right? Crash dummy. Let's put Javi in a car, see if he can text, drive, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's what we're doing out here. It is April Fool's, but we're not joking around, folks, because April, as Scott mentioned, is Distracted Drivers Awareness Month. And with new laws in place, we want to give you an example here. So, say I was driving down the highway at 55 miles per hour, right? I take off here, and then I get a text. As I'm driving, I look down at my phone. By the time you look down at the phone and you finish reading the text, it's a quick stop at that point, because when you look up, you have already traveled the distance of a full football field. We don't want that because we know many dangerous things could happen. I want to introduce you to Sergeant Azouz with the Glendale Police Department this morning. And you say that is one of the most dangerous things out there, texting and driving, or even reading your text.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the average person, they spend about 5 seconds whenever they're reading a text or sending a text. And just like I say, you're going down the road 55 miles an hour, you're going to be traveling the length of a football field. So just want to make sure that our citizens are safe out there.
Let's talk about the new Arizona laws in place, because in the law, it says that people can look at their phones while they're at a stoplight. But that's at a stoplight, and that's completely separate than when you're driving.
Right. And, you know, as soon as the light turns green and cars start moving, you need to put your cell phone down for sure.
I'm sure as an officer, you've been to a lot of bad crashes out there. How many nowadays in recent years have you seen due to texting and driving?
Oh, we see them all the time. And, you know, they actually say, you know, nationally, you're about 6 times more likely to be involved in a crash compared to if you're driving impaired, if you're using your cell phone. So,
what are some of the other distracted things out there that seem to get the attention of the drivers?
Well, you know, if you're, you know, for the parents out there, obviously your kids can be a distraction. Believe it or not, eating food in the car can lead to accidents. Reaching for things in the car can be distraction. But the big things that we're concerned about and the things that we see out there and the most common are definitely, you know, manipulating your cell phone devices.
Let's talk about the fines. Let's talk about the tickets out there, because that's where it gets pricey and it really hits home then.
Right. In the city of Glendale, it's a $253 fine, but really that's kind of the least of the things that can happen. I mean, you know, driving distracted, you know, it can lead to serious physical injury or death. So, you know, the fine is one thing. It's a good reminder for those out there that are doing this kind of stuff. And but really, we're out there to prevent accidents.
What about for your motorcycle officers? How dangerous is it for them out there?
Oh, for sure. It's already hard enough to see motorcyclists out there. And, you know, if you have one more distraction where you're not paying full attention to the roadway, it's going to be that much more difficult to see the motorcyclists.
Great information. Of course, we want you to be safe out there. And so just a heads up, especially for those teenage drivers as well.
Oh, for sure.
All right. We'll send it back to you, Scotty. And this crash dummy didn't crash, so it all worked out. But we hope the demonstration came across and people got the message.
Yeah, we definitely did. Javi, thank you for that. We've seen simulations like these before. It's hard to stay focused out on the road, especially if you're distracted by your phone. And when it comes to distracted driving, a crash obviously can happen in seconds. So Javi is showing us how emergency crews prepare now in order to help you later. So obviously a lot of training, Javi.
And it's all about the training. They train time and time again, because no crash is the same as the last one and the same as the next one. So we're here inside, and April is Distracted Drivers Awareness Month, and we want to just give you an idea of a situation you don't want to be in. However, we also want to show you the amazing firefighters and what they do if you were involved in an accident, required extrication. So I'm here with Captain Ashley Losh. She is with Glendale Fire Department. And what exactly are they doing now that they've come upon the scene and assessed the situation?
Right, so first thing they want to do is see if you can open any of the doors. Obviously in this situation we wouldn't be able to open the doors. And so the first thing they want to do is actually cut that nadir bolt. The bolt is what holds the door closed in the car. So that's what you're locking and unlocking when you're locking your car. That's slammed shut. So they're going to cut that first, and then they're going to try to cut the actual bolts off the door on the front so that they're able to pull the door off and get the person out safely.
I would imagine when you first get to the scene, you're trying to assess the patient. If a patient were trapped inside, how important is it to get to them as soon as possible?
Right, so time is of the essence. And in any of these situations, especially if someone's bleeding internally or maybe they've stopped breathing, if we have kids in the back seat, things like that. So obviously knowing how many people are in the car, what condition they're in, that's extremely important. So we know how many ambulances we're going to need. We have crews waiting to start treatment as soon as they get out of the car. And sometimes if we're able to get in the car, like you and I are right now, I might even be able to start treatment before we get someone out. But that's a rare case if we'd have to extricate them.
And this is a circumstance where you and I are in here, we know what's going on, we're able-bodied.
Correct.
But sometimes you have patients in here who are freaked out, they're just assessing the situation, they're possibly in pain, they're in danger. What is that like when they're kind of pushing back against what you're trying to do?
So a lot of times, they're disoriented, they have a head injury, they've got altered mental status. So this is terrifying. You can hear the sounds right now. Imagine a bunch of strangers beating on a car and all you want to do is get out. So that adds to the intensity of the situation for sure, but we're trained to kind of block that out and do our work. A lot of times we'll try to console them. You'll see we gave you a blanket to keep the glass off of you. We often do that to keep the patients protected, because the last thing we want is to create more of an issue for them. So putting a blanket over somebody could be really terrifying when they're locked into a car. They don't understand what we're trying to do. We really try to talk to them and encourage them and let them know what we're doing as best we can.
I would imagine every crash is different. Are you able to treat every crash differently?
For sure. And that, like you said before, we train for this. We train so that we're ready for every car and every situation. So right now, Anthony's using the cutters. He's just cutting those bolts. And that's because a lot of times people's legs will be trapped under this dashboard. So even though they got that door open, we're not able to get the person out until we get what's called a ram to push that dashboard up off their legs, free their legs, and get them out.
In this situation, we've gone through almost 3 minutes now. Is that a good time? Is that what you're aiming toward?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, speed and accuracy is absolutely important. So we're going to want to get them out as quickly as possible, but we need to be accurate as well. And we need to make sure we're protecting them too. These guys are very well trained. They're both training captains. They've spent a lot of time on a ladder truck, so they know exactly where to cut, how to cut. Some of our younger firefighters aren't as fast, but they're learning from the best.
For you, having seen it all, having witnessed it all, what's your message to distracted drivers, or to drivers in general?
Please put the phones down. It's not worth the text message. And that regret that you're going to feel later, it's not worth it. Everybody will understand you were driving. Send them a text once you stop. Send them a text later. Don't pick up that hamburger if you're trying to drive with your knees. Just let's be safe out there. Let's take care of each other.
What is he doing now?
So now, this is if we were going to roll the roof. So if we couldn't get people out of the back seat because there is no door like in this car, sometimes we're going to have to roll the roof. So they're going to cut both sides of the roof and they would roll it back in order to access a patient in the back seat.
All right. Well, amazing demonstration, guys. You heard it here first. She said, put the phone down, focus on the road, because we want you to get to wherever you're going safely. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
And Javi, the only thing we didn't hear that we would have normally if this were real, you screaming, right?
What was that? I'm sorry. My IFB fell out
I'm sure
in the midst of all the crashing glass.
I'm sure it did. All right, Javi, thank you.